Remembrance. Morning songbirds celebrated my awakening as I left my room to explore the small village of Bishari. A silent memory visited me like a passer-by, glancing momentarily through my open window. As I entered the town square, déjà vu struck. I saw children of yesteryear playing there. A gentle, unseen hand brushed my shoulder with a startling familiarity. Turning, I looked in every direction with an exhilarating shiver that intensified when the reminiscent echo of my brother's voice whispered from somewhere, "Welcome home, Hajar." I listened, my senses stretched into space, waiting for truth to appear. Fleeting sensations gathered like pieces of a puzzle, hinting impressions of a picture long forgotten. Confused by the convolution of time, alone among strangers in the faintly familiar village, I scurried up the street steeps to gain a higher perspective. I perched overlooking the small village with the towering cathedral and random buildings sprawled along wandering paths high in the alpine forest. Gazing over the expansive vista toward the Mediterranean, a tender love for this foreign place engulfed my senses. I felt my mother's presence embracing the earth and sky, as the aroma of cinnamon and mint invoked memories of her cooking. I heard her voice within my heart, "Welcome home, dear." I was then enticed from my trance by a man waving a greeting from the street below. I followed him to a refrigerated storehouse where he invited me to taste apples and pears grown in nearby orchards. Gazing into an apple like a crystal ball, I saw a candlelit room from my forgotten childhood. I sensed my brother's spirit, my mother's love, and my father's pride. The first bite released a burst of nectar into my mouth. The crisp succulence answered a lifelong hunger for this forgotten sweetness. The man asked of America with a zealous longing to belong to such a fairy tale land of freedom. I replied, "My friend, you and I are of the same soil. Our desire for freedom would carry us away into our fantasies, yet our roots that bind us to this earth produce fruit much sweeter than any dream can be. You are a man with roots in this sacred ground. From the harvest of your toil, you give of yourself. I am a seeker of silence, searching for the secrets of our soul. My labor has unearthed more loving respect for you. Your life may seem simple and distant from the dreams that stir in the solitude of your heart, but your silent strength, like the spirit in these mountains, holds up the sky where all our dreams are but passing clouds." Bidding the man farewell, I was irresistibly drawn toward the cathedral. My feet, knowing more than my mind could fathom, carried me up time-worn steps to an open archway. Standing there on the threshold to the cathedral, I slipped through the corridors of time. Thick smoke rose from burning incense and swirled into phantoms of another era. The chanting of bygone ages reverberated to the throb of my racing heartbeat. As my father would have, I put my hand on the back of a wooden pew to guide myself to sit in meditation. From a primal yearning, I realized for the first time that my life was a recurring dream, repeating a primordial struggle between fear and love. Suddenly, as though my eyes were seeing light for the first time, I had a flashback of myself sitting here between my father and my mother. I remembered the figures in the stained glass windows portraying the tale of Christ's persecution. I remembered the golden offering plates on the marble altar and the rows of candles dripping like tears that release our prayers to the heavens. Amidst the chaos of bewildering memories, a translucent light filled the cathedral, and my inner vision carried me through the roof to a cherished memory. In my mind's eye, I saw a natural cathedral of rock precipices at the edge of a mountain meadow where a babbling brook sang a welcome song to my trembling heart. My eyes opened wide in shocking memory of this favorite place from my former childhood. Quietly but quickly, I left the cathedral and followed my instincts to the secret sanctuary hidden somewhere in the nearby mountains. The limb of a cypress, moved by the wind, beckoned me onward. A faint figure appeared and then disappeared into the shadows of the forest, and I followed. Everything in that enchanted place vibrated like cello strings beneath the bow of a master. The bow. Everything in that enchanted place vibrated like cello strings beneath the bow of a master. Time carried me with ethereal grace over rocks and ravines into the late afternoon, each step planting a prayer for the events that followed. My pace quickened with anticipation as I climbed high into a narrow alpine meadow surrounded by majestic snow-capped peaks. To the far end of the meadow I followed my mounting exhilaration toward the sound of water falling behind walls of stone where a column of mist swirled upward, evaporating into iridescent rainbows. In this shimmering solarium, I stepped through a threshold between worlds. The elementals invoked subtle realms of awareness in my mind stream. From beyond the veneer of reality, a choir of voices and trumpets proclaimed my return to this sanctuary of beauty. Spirits, dressed in flowing radiance, danced around me like leaves caught in the delicate embrace of a whirlwind. This wellspring of an inspiration was concealed beyond the distance of a lifetime. As I entered nature's temple with outstretched arms, my weakening knees brought me to the ground, humble to receive this honored blessing. Rays of dazzling sunlight off the cascading waterfall synchronized with lightning flashes of remembrance. Clouds of forgetfulness burst with a thunderous shout from deep within my belly, and memory upon memory of my former life rained down upon my thirsty soul. Intoxicated under the influence of this revelation of life beyond death, my feelings took flight in that moment to join with hidden moments of a generation long past. Reuniting with this sacred site, my eyes flowed like fountains of joy, and I cried out in ecstasy, "O beautiful home of my deepest love! For so long you hovered in the silent space between my dreams. Now I stand here on the lofty summit of glory, staggering in the light of my clandestine past. If you will, emancipate my senses that I may see and hear all things secret." Then, in the stillness between heartbeats, I was lifted between worlds held apart by the lapse of time. I sailed the firmament through vast domains of light, undulating through seascapes of immaculate splendor. I saw eternity unveiled to the untold possibilities that await their moment of manifestation. In that instance, the scattered elements of creation gathered again into a lucid image of the prophet shimmering in the mist of the waterfall. As though a force in his being directed my will, I was compelled to rise and walk toward him. When I stood a short distance before him, he spoke. "I called you here to this home of your remembrance. Long was the interlude of your absence from your homeland, and behold, you stand before me in flesh, and I am overjoyed that you followed my beckoning. For a time between death and birth, silent and unaware of the seasons, your form lay in the bosom of the earth, while your spirit dwelled in the heavens. You looked down from the windows of the constellations, and you envied humanity's sweet pleasures and mortal pains. You were a songbird imprisoned in silence, and you yearned through the nights to sing your love songs again to the days. Thus your longing was wrought from the dust of the earth to again face the sun. Now your roots grow deep into the ground that bore you, and you ascend high into boundless realms where wisdom gathers like rain into thought. The seeds of your yesterdays have blossomed. The fruit of ages has fermented into sparkling soul wine, the harvest of patience. This is our day of celebration." I asked, How is it that you know me more than I know myself?" And the prophet answered, "You and I are one in spirit. We were born together, but through birth you were born into forgetfulness, and it is my will that you remember. I came and died as your brother to call you home. Thus I play upon your weakness to evoke your strength. I cast you in darkness that you might search for your light. I move within you, urging you to reach always higher that you might remember me. You feel my pulse in your heart, or else you would not stand here before me now. I am ever ready to satisfy your hunger with love and to quench your thirst with wisdom. And if this day is not a fulfillment of your need, then it remains still a promise. If aught is left unsung, then we shall commune again tomorrow, and you shall drink from my fountain to your heart's content. As you sleep, I whisper forgotten secrets to you, and because the trace of my genes flows in your veins, you remember. You know now the cosmos in your stillness. When you part your lips, the voice of life comes forth from the authority that moves the heavens. And forever on, you shall continue your way with my flame burning in your breast. Though your needs change with the seasons, my constant love remains dressed in ways that answer your intrinsic need. But you alone must step naked into your heart's freedom. Come closer now, unbind yourself, and surrender to the silence where together we are one. I undressed and stepped through the cloud of vibrant mist into the liquid curtain pouring down upon me. Amidst the deafening roar of the crashing deluge, all I could hear was the soundless voice of spirit singing this message of love to humanity. Forget not that you dwell with me always, a boundless drop in a boundless sea. There is no end to my source, nor limit to my grace. When you drift into sleep, I hold you in silent serenity. And when you awaken, it is within my presence that you dwell. I live in your heart, and you live in mine. You are my dream, and I am your awakening. Through you, I am dressed in beauty. Through me, you are beyond what can be. The evening was late. One by one, minutes passed as the earth turned her back toward the sun. Again, day gathered up her radiance to welcome in the night. As the familiar shadows of darkness wrapped themselves around me, I smile, knowing that all is sacred and without end.